Hey, it's Mark Slater here with Prime Spine Consulting, and I'm honored to have a lawyer here with me, Mr. Dennis Beaver. Mr. Beaver has been practicing, he's relatively new, since 1972. He started as a deputy district attorney in California, correct?
Around California.
He spent a lot of time in the divorce court, consumer law. He's bilingual. He speaks French and Swedish. He's been hosting radio talk shows in Los Angeles, writing newspaper columns. He started doing that 38 years ago. Still currently doing radio and TV in Bakersfield, Dennis? Yes?
No, because you can't ride two horses at one time. I got so
Gotcha.
incredibly busy, I couldn't maintain everything.
I understand. So he's been doing radio and TV in the past in Bakersfield, California. He has a strong history in personal injury, and more importantly, a respect for chiropractors and what we do in this space and the work that they do, because he realized that his clients that were being treated at chiropractors were actually doing better than the orthopods and the other specialists he was sending these clients to. So he understands our plight, and this conversation is going to be about getting paid. Why do these attorneys want to stiff chiropractors? Why do they just come out of the box and pay 50, want to offer you 50%? So that's what we're going to talk about. So Dennis, I'm so honored to have you on this interview. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I was very flattered by your email and the fact that you focus on these issues that are just so important for chiropractors. Before I forget this point, there is a fundamental reason why people in healthcare in general, it could be chiropractors, MDs, it doesn't matter, across the board, are willing victims, become effectively willing victims. And part of it is the philosophy of the profession. Healthcare in general is a very cooperative, collegial, let's do what we can to benefit the patient.
Correct.
There's a very high element of trust. So when, for example, I had a physician at the Adventist health clinic I go to, retired, I have a new guy, and he has my chart, and without asking any questions, he immediately, of course, accepts and adopts the findings of my prior physician.
Okay.
Based upon his experience with that physician and obviously these issues of trust.
Collaboration and trust. Yeah.
This is where it bites chiropractors on the nose, right? Because you are not, as a group, I say of some of the lawyers who don't pay that they will never have hemorrhoids.
Okay.
Hemorrhoids. Why? Because they're the perfect asshole.
I have a lot of clients that will agree with you, Dennis, but so let's
and
talk.
chiropractors in general don't fall into that mold. You are good guys and gals and don't like to be in an adversarial relationship with anybody.
Correct. Yep.
Right.
Get that. So, and maybe it's because the attorneys have done it once. It's almost like the criminal mindset, so to speak. The first time a person commits a crime, it abhors them, they hate it, they feel bad, but then they do it again and the feeling gets lesser and it's like it's like a law of diminishing returns as far as feeling bad about it. If they get away with it once, let me see if I can get away with it again and again and again. And then it just becomes the standard for that attorney. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons I quit doing criminal defense work. When you leave the DA's office, you move from one side of the courtroom to the other. And I just got sick of my clients. It would rationalize anything.
Rationalize criminal behavior, you mean?
Absolutely. Rationalizing criminal behavior, which is exactly what these lawyers who don't pay chiropractors are. They are thieves. They are criminals.
Well, I try to educate my clients to tell them that in most states, they have a bar rule. Here in Georgia, it's bar rule 1.15, the safekeeping of records. And it states in the Georgia bar that if a doctor or any third party has an interest in the case, the interest being their bill and their notes, they have to provide a full accounting of all the providers that have an interest in the case upon request. Now, do attorneys say, well, I'm hoping that the chiropractors don't know this because I don't want a bar complaint filed against me? Is it similar in California?
Yeah, the attorneys, of course, are hoping nobody files a bar complaint. Where you can resolve this is with the lien, right? The lien that you have with the lawyer, signed by the lawyer and by the patient.
Well, what if they don't sign the lien, Dennis? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I hear that a lot too. These attorneys won't sign the lien, but
stop treating. Tell the patient, real sorry. Don't treat the patient until you have a signed lien, particularly if there's an issue of there's no met pay, there's some issues of liability. You have to, the knee-jerk reaction of so many of the chiropractors I know who wind up getting stiffed is that they jump into treatment too soon. They don't take steps to protect their bill. And consequently, they lose track of, their office personnel don't care. When do you have a secretary, unless she's married to the chiropractor, who really follows through these things? Hey, lawyer, where's the lien, pal? And you don't hear that. So don't start treating until you have a signed lien by patient and lawyer. No signed lien? Sorry, Mr. Patient, can't see you anymore.
Well, Dennis, let me ask you this. What if the doctor has a really good assignment of benefits where the patient has signed over power of attorney in that assignment of benefits in the notes that they send to the attorney? Because in reality, the doctor is treating the patient. The patient owes the bill, not necessarily the attorney. So by having the patient sign a lien in the assignment of benefits, is that enough?
What you need to have in your lien, in your assignment of benefits, is an irrevocable statement. You have to use the term irrevocable. I'm the patient. I am irrevocably instructing my attorney and those who work with him or her to do the following, to provide me, and you list the items that you need, and to protect my bill.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so
and I would say in the outset, and do not expect me to reduce this bill under any circumstance.
You would put that language in your assignment.
I would put it in the lien. Okay. So most lawyers will, if it's a strong enough case and they feel that they'll get plenty of compensation, won't worry about it. Some will say, I have no problem in paying you reasonable fees.
That's
but
right.
if what you bill is unreasonable, I reserve the right to not pay that. And I've seen my share of completely unreasonable bills.
Of course, hey, listen, chiropractors, we're not always in the safe zone. There are, believe it or not, Dennis, chiropractors that will overbill, overtreat, do things that are not necessary. And that's a reason to get the bill cut.
Greed, GREED, 5-letter word.
Yeah, it happens on both sides, the chiro side and the lawyer side. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right, but for the chiropractors, typically their average bill is, let's say, $5,000. The average settlement for a PI attorney, according to FileBind, I'm not just making this up, Dennis, is $26,000 per case. So, and I bring that up when attorneys say, well, you send me one, I'll send you one. Well, the average chiropractic bill is going to be around $5,000 or $6,000. Your average settlement is, $25,000, $26,000. So this one-for-one relationship makes sense in terms of humans, but doesn't make sense in terms of financial gain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you can also, I'm thinking back to the irrevocability, you can also consider language that says, in the event that our office is asked to reduce our bill, we will do so if it is done proportionally with all other providers, including the attorney's fees, in the letter of protection or in the lien.
Great point.
And again, I want to back up. I get I get calls all the time from people like, you found me online, you read the articles I've written on this,
Yes.
interviewing Sean Steele and others, right? After the chiropractor's been stiffed or the orthopod's been stiffed. They look up on, I got a call last week from the gal who manages an orthopod's office. And she is oh, don't say boo, I'm afraid. I said, look, I will call. She had letters upon letters from the lawyer saying, the check is coming, don't worry, check never came. I said, I'll give the guy a call. Happy to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on doing an article on lawyers that don't pay their bills. Would you please do that? Of course I would. And I called the guy. He went ape. Are you representing them? No, I'm a syndicated newspaper columnist. And my understanding is that they have all these letters. You promised to pay the bill. You haven't done it. I'm just trying to find out what happened. And so he calls them, screaming and yelling.
Calls the chiro or the patient?
Because the chiro speaks to Miss Gutless. Says, oh, Mr. Beaver, I don't want to lose my job. I want to lose my job. Do your job, right? But the guy paid the bill.
And what was the impetus for him to pay the bill? What was the pressure point? Can you get
writing an article?
Oh, because you're the columnist that was going to write an article.
Yeah. I said, I'm looking into doing an article on lawyers that don't pay doctors' bills, and this has come to my attention. I obviously want to get your side of the story. I'm not accusing them of anything.
Of course. Well, what if chiropractors who don't have what's called, here, Dennis, you'll like this, the power of the pen, what can they do to say, hey, you're offering me 50%. How do they handle that objection, Dennis? What would be your recommendation when they come out of the gate?
A lot of it's going to come right back to the lien you have, what language you have in that letter of protection of the lien that obviously is the objective is to protect the chiropractor's bill. Counsel, you know and I know that the state bar requires that you are a fiduciary and you must protect my bill, period. You also know that a client or a provider has the ability of filing a complaint if there is a belief that you have not honored your obligation to the state bar, period.
So you have to be delicate in the language. According to your state bar, you have a fiduciary responsibility to pay the bill in full.
You have a fiduciary responsibility to your client and to me.
Okay.
Remember, he signed that lien.
Okay, so then how would you phrase it then about essentially failure to do so? I will take a consideration of filing a bar.
And you know very well that the state bar, in a separate sentence, and you know very well your state bar frowns on lawyers who fail to honor their fiduciary duty.
Okay.
So there's enough of an implication in there that you know the law as a chiropractor, you know what you can do. He knows what you can do. And if he doesn't get that, then he got his license to practice law in a box of Cracker Jacks.
I understand. Okay, got it. Those are great points, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
Another thing is, as I alluded to this earlier, you have to recognize when you have employees that have the employee mindset. You don't want that kind of a person. You want someone who has, if possible, a sense of understanding what chiropractic is all about, who believes in chiropractic, who talks to the patients. How do you feel? When you see the doctors, it makes me feel better. I'm glad to hear that. So you want motivated personnel, a staff that care and that take billing personally. And so you sit down with these people and say, listen, I can't do it. I need your help. If I'm not getting paid, you got to tell me. You're not
Okay.
going to bug me. You're not going to bother me. We have an attorney who can get involved and scream and yell. You don't have to. I don't have to.
Yes.
Now, on another chapter, scream and yell. I have no problem, and I've done it countless numbers of times. Get on the phone with the chiropractor, conference call, and the lawyer. And say, my understanding is that you settled this case with the billing and the report. And his bill hasn't been paid. It's been 6 months. And he's called and told, it's coming. Can you tell me what the problem is? And I approach that in a very conciliatory manner.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I'm met with, I'll talk to my secretary. Why don't we do this right now? Put me on hold and you talk to her right now. We need to resolve this today.
Yep.
All right? I slow down, lower my tone of voice. Well, no, today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Right?
Yep.
And you'd be surprised. Within 24 hours, magically a check is delivered.
Right.
I have gone to a lawyer's office. By the way, the worst kind are those that take out soul insurance every Sunday. I am the greatest believer in the world, right? Proselytizing and all, don't pay their bills. Justifying everything. God has forgiven me. Yeah, well, I'm not God.
That's right. Yeah, God doesn't owe the bill. You do.
That's right. So I marched into a lawyer's office with the chiropractor. Said, we got a big problem. We don't want to go to the state bar. You don't want to go to this. Here's the bill that you've had for months. Why don't you write us a check right now? We'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
We will wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Walk out of there with a check.
Yeah.
I've done this countless numbers of times.
Right.
You can be sure I don't have a lot of friends amongst lawyers like that.
I tell my clients there's lawyers out there that wear the black hats and lawyers out there that wear the white hats. You don't have to do business with the black hats. There's just enough PI attorneys in every city, every state in this country where you can have a nice practice, choosing to work with guys that you have a nice relationship with, that respect you, treat you right, and don't give you this runaround at settlement time.
Yeah, and you make sure that your retainer agreement with the client is clear.
Yep.
It is written in plain language.
Like an extension of credit, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what it effectively is. Okay. And also that the lien is very, very clear. That counselor, you, upon accepting representation of my client, you are hereby agreeing to protect my bill and pay it.
Mm-hmm.
So, very, very direct language. Lawyer doesn't sign it, no more treatment. You tell your client, now look, here's an issue here. I want you to realize something. I want to help you, but I've got to be. You work, right? Yeah. You get a paycheck, right? How would you feel if you don't get a paycheck? I'd be upset. How do you think I feel when I don't get paid? I get upset. So I need your help. The four most important words in a lawyer's vocabulary and a doctor's vocabulary for the patient are, I need your help.
Right.
I need your help. When I call up, it doesn't have to be in a chiropractic situation. When I call up someone who owes my client, allegedly owes my client money, I say, hi, my name is Dennis Beaver. Dennis like the menace, and Beaver like leave it too. It usually gets a giggle. That's important because there's a suspension here of disbelief. Very important psychologically. And I need your help. So, Mark, if I call you up, I say, Mark, I need your help. What are you going to immediately say?
What can I do for you, Dennis?
Exactly. How can I help? This is a reflex reaction. It's entirely neurological. But the fact that you say that opens your mind so your skepticism is being suspended.
So it's almost like a little neuro-linguistic programming you're using.
Exactly. You need to know how, in a very beneficial way, how to manipulate somebody.
Yeah. What about influence rather than manipulate?
Meaning?
Manipulate sounds negative. Influence sounds more positive.
Yeah, influence. Sure. I mean, yeah, okay, influencing. Right. But the reality of it is, you are messing with their neurons.
That's right. The chiropractors are manipulating spines in the office. We're not trying to manipulate attorneys. We're trying to influence them to get our bills paid.
That's correct.
That's right. And Dennis, let me ask you, so since we're going kind of into a dark space with, the word manipulation, when does theft by conversion come into play in this attorney chiropractic?
When the lawyer is under an obligation of turning these funds that he's holding in trust, because he or she is holding these funds in trust for the beneficiary of that trust is the chiropractor, refuses to turn them over, or steals a portion of them, has no justification for keeping a portion. That's conversion.
So let me ask you this. What if the attorney asks you, the chiropractor, to cut their bill 50%, but they're going to keep their 33 or 40%?
Don't work that way, partner. No. If everybody cuts their bill proportionally because you haven't got enough to pay everybody fairly, I agree with that.
Is that considered a theft by conversion?
Say again?
Is that considered theft by conversion?
No, if he refuses, if he says, I'm going to be paying myself in full and screw you, absolutely. But if what you want is, and you want proof, and it should be addressed on the lien as well, that if your bill is being cut, everybody's bill is being cut by the same proportionate amount. I will agree to that if we have to.
So you say put that in your assignment of benefits?
I would say absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah.
It can't hurt. Can't hurt. The big factor is you need an attorney who, if I can put this in somewhat of a coarse manner, whose balls are big enough that he needs a wheelbarrow to carry them around in.
Understood.
All right? And not some nice guy. There are lots of nice lawyers, and all they do is write wills. That's not what you want. Right? You want someone who has intestinal fortitude, who says, bullshit. You're not going to treat this guy that way. It's wrong, partner. It's wrong.
Agreed. Yeah.
And in a really an egregious case, I love to get on the phone with one of your audience members who's in that situation, and get the doc on the phone and the lawyer on the phone. And by the way, I'm syndicated columnist. You can find me right now. Just type in Dennis Beaver Kiplinger, and up comes my column. And it's really interesting. Why is I not paid?
I found it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, it just I got a call today from a tree service company. A year ago, they got stiffed by a half dozen accounts, and they'd known me for 20 years. What are you doing? Oh, well, the owner wants to be a nice person. Yeah, well, great. Don't bother me, because I can shine right now, but a year from now.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, Dennis, I really appreciate the time. This is just great content and great information. I want to thank you so much for agreeing to do this call with me. I know my clients appreciate it too. Again, it's Dennis Beaver, an attorney. You're still in Bakersfield, California, correct?
Yeah.
Well, Dennis, your website is dennisbeaver.com, correct?
Yeah. And finally, to see what is the origin of rotten lawyers, you Google, again, my name, Dennis Beaver. A lawyer's reputation begins in law school. A lawyer's reputation begins in law school.
Okay.
This says, they're like that. Exactly. Can't miss it.
Gotcha.
Mark, thank you for contacting me. I think you are doing such a service for your clients and for the chiros who are watching this. I just get frustrated and just so angry when I get a call and the guy got stiffed and didn't know what to do. It finds my columns.
Yep.
It hurts me because I believe in chiropractic. And I'll leave you with this one point.
Sure.
A chiropractor saved my bacon years ago. I would drink coffee and get tremorous and sweaty, and something's wrong. All the blood tests came back normal. And what's going on? Is it his head? Chiropractor said, sounds to me like you've got reactive hypoglycemia. Go to a health food store and buy chromium.
Okay.
I did. I had a chromium deficiency gland within a week. Fixed it. Holy mackerel. This guy.
No drug, no surgery. Chromium.
This guy absolutely was a godsend. Not one MD thought of that.
Yeah. We hear that all the time in our little bubble sometimes, Dennis, you know. But I'm glad you had that experience.
I'm the guy who thanks you, Mark.
I appreciate it. So again, your contact information is on your website, dennisbeaver.com. So if my clients would like to
DennisBeaver.com has a contact form.
Sure.
Just Google Dennis Beaver, you and the law, or Dennis Beaver Bakersfield, up comes a bazillion references to my articles. And love to speak to all of your, not at the same time, but your audience.
Well, you're kind of doing that right now in this video, but I totally get where you're coming from. Well, Dennis, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk with me here about this issue of, you know, getting paid, how to handle that situation, how to handle these objections. And, you know, I just like to get the perspective from the lawyer angle, not the doctor angle, because we hear that all the time.
And on the website, you'll see a reference to Dr. Phil. I was on the Dr. Phil show. It says nothing to do with getting paid. This is timeshares, and people get ripped off. So I would definitely encourage looking at that. You may have a patient that says, I had this timeshare and I got this fantastic offer to buy it. What should I do? It's a scam. So I urge that they look at that thing. Thank you, Mark, for contacting me.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Have a great day. And again, thank you so much for doing this video with me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, you too.
Take care.
Right.